nominated Ken Sidgeworth of the fire department. However, as we already had a motion and a second on the floor at that time, the roll call vote was made on the motion to appoint Lacey Thomas to MRTSA, which passed 5-2. Stone accused me at that time at the public meeting and other council members of holding a meeting nominating Lacey to MRTSA, and that we are in violation of the Sunshine Law. That's not true. I stated that at the meeting, as did other council members. There was no such meeting ever occurred regarding MRTSA nomination. A complete fabrication on behalf of Stone, as he had no answer from me when I asked him at the meeting to give specifics about his accusation. Following the conclusion of our meeting, I went to my car in the parking lot, and Stone approached me angrily, yelling that I was part of an imaginary meeting regarding Lacey Thomas's nomination. I attempted to have a discussion with him, but he continued yelling and went on a personal attack, angry at me because I didn't place his campaign sign in my yard. He continued yelling, using obscenities, that we changed meeting times so he could not attend. Another fabrication. Our committee times are publicly advertised. So Stone, and then he said he wanted to quit the committees and remove him from them. So I'm gonna ask you now, Stone, if you still want to be resigned from the committees.
Well, it's obvious you don't want me on the committees because you moved all the committee meeting times from
No, that's
7
never
o'clock
occurred. I don't know where you
to
get your
whenever I'm.
information. I don't know, but you don't read your notes.
Oh.
They've never been, it's public. So do
So
you
we've
wanna?
never had a Parks Committee meeting
Yeah,
at 7 o'clock?
that's-
No,
You've never had,
no.
how much would you wanna bet? I'll bet a $500 donation to the fire department right now.
Stone, answer my question first. Do you want to resign officially from the committees and we can move forward?
You're the president, you tell me.
No, you screamed at me in the parking lot that you wanted to be taken off all the
I said
committees.
you
so
violated the
officially-
Sunshine Act,
We
and
did
you
not.
did violate the
No,
Sunshine
you didn't. You're
Act.
fabricating. You have no proof of anything, so.
So
we
how
don't-
was everybody on the same page? There was no discussion,
are
everybody
you talking
nominated
about?
one person, why didn't we
You get-
nominate
That's the
someone and vote?
process. That is the process at a public meeting we've done for decades. A nomination's made, you vote on it. Okay, you went off the committees then, we'll do that, and put on the agenda. Can I get a motion to put on the agenda for the next meeting to appoint someone to replace Stone's committee seats?
On the recreation board, I'll stay on the recreation board, cause that's at a regular time, 7 o'clock, you guys haven't changed that
Oh,
yet.
so now you don't want to,
Yeah, I don't have to
remove-
be on the,
as you yell
yeah,
at
I'm
the
at the
parking lot.
Parks Committee, I'm on the Parks Committee, I wanted a bunch of stuff I tried to help with, and you guys don't listen anyway, like, I wanted,
oh my goodness.
right on
You know, this
Provost
is-
at,
You have to act like an adult here. Okay, you wanna stay on the recreation now, you don't wanna do any other meetings? No, what are you saying? You wanna resign from the Parks Committee, and then you're supposed to be going to these meetings at 7 o'clock, is that what you wanna do?
you could either move the Parks Committee meeting at
No,
7
no, we're
o'clock,
not
like
moving
every other
It is
day,
what it is, Mr. Reverend.
and like you've had in the past,
No.
or I can't
No,
make it,
you
I
are
work.
incorrect again, no. So
Then how
you
come,
want,
if I'm lying, then why don't you take the bet for the $500?
you know what, you're so foolish. We're moving
I'm so
forward here,
foolish.
Stone. This is a public
So
meeting,
we've
people
never
have
had a Parks
business.
Committee.
Be
You're always
professional.
delaying what we have here.
How am I not being
You
professional?
know what?
You're
Are you
screaming in
moved?
the.
Okay, you know what, I'm ending this discussion, we're gonna move forward, you're off the committees. Okay, now we have citizens' request.
I should have been not working on, sorry.
Pat Kay, stand and state your name and address, please.
My name is Pat Knisevich. I live at 4655 Curry Road. I've been here many times in regard to the water problem running off of Club Drive West down the gully to Curry. I understand this is the last meeting before we start talking about the budget. So I'm here to ask you again, please do not push this aside. Give it all the respect it deserves. It's ruining the home of the 3 people, myself, Amy, Lori, 3 families who are taking on debt that should not be because the road is not proper that's leading into this problem. So I want to make sure you understand we haven't given up on fighting to get this done. And if you don't put it on the agenda, then that's another year that's going to be gone. And by that time, the damage will continue. So please consider I have to thank Marty, who has been working with the county people who have come up there 6 and 7 at a time, looked at the problem, and Mr. Palmieri, from what I understand, has given his permission to move forward to put that sewer up on Brunsville Road that will collect the water. It's a small part, but it's something to collect the water that came down Brunsville onto Club Drive. So that job is in the works, thanks to Marty here, cause he kept at it and he has the moving. So if you would now pick up your responsibility and get something to channel that dirt. And you've all seen it, so you know what I'm talking about. You will have taken time to come by. We just need an enclosed something to take that water straight down to the next sewer. So if you would please put that on your budget analysis or whatever, we would all appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. We'll move on to Amy Hoy. You know, stand and state your name and address, please.
Amy Hoy, 4629 Curry Road. So again, like just what Pat stated, I've done all the work I could do in my own yard to divert the water. So I've already paid thousands, okay? So I would just like our borough to do their due diligence on the borough property where the water is coming in. Whether it's a catch basin, whether it's plumbing, I don't care what it is. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be millions of dollars. I did a catch basin thing in my yard, it cost me $5 grand. So, I mean, I can't imagine it costing, you know, around that much, you know, for us, the borough, to do that. I pay tax dollars every year, I just expect that, you know, to come back and that to be done. I've seen stuff in sewer and stuff clean up on hiking trails that we have down off of Rolling Hills Road where no houses are. So like, I just don't understand where houses are and it's borough property, why we wouldn't work to divert water that is affecting other people's yards that have already done, you know, I've done, like I said, I've done this stuff in my yard to try to divert as much of it as I can. I can't do anything else beyond that. So I would just hope that something gets budgeted, someone comes and does an estimate, something. I mean, right now everyone's gone and looked, but that's, I mean, this has been going on for months. I know I've missed a few meetings the last few months, but since I've been here, I have not seen anything saying that anyone's done any kind of estimation, surveyed anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, it just doesn't seem like we're moving anywhere with it. So I would just hope to see something or some kind of movement on it, but we're moving forward rather than nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was something done, the engineer did do a study, so we do have a cost. In knowing that you want this, cause you're affected, the Bickles are affected, and Pat's affected, and if everybody that's affected wants this, that means that there's, you know, we're not gonna have to pay for easements to, you know, to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, hopefully it's, on the budget, discussions, so that we can talk about it and vote on it.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lori Bickle, please stand and state your name and address.
Lori Bickle, 19 West Club Drive, 9th meeting, 20 years, 7 in 2024. I don't think anybody would want this water problem or this swell that I have would want that removed from your property. People on board, people in the audience. We're piggybacking here. We need something done with this budget for this. We shouldn't have to wait another year. I think 20 years is long enough to get this rectified. Maybe not, I don't know, to some people. But we've done what we could in our yard. She's done hers, Amy and John done theirs. We need your help, folks. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help the residents of Whitehall. I don't feel like we're being helped. All these meetings, maybe some surveying, some statistics. We elect you. You're supposed to work for us. When I'm a teacher, I work for the kids. I work for the school district. I work for the parents. My tail would be on the line if I didn't do my job. we're asking for your help. I haven't been really happy when I'm speaking about this because I see nothing really coming to fruition. I hear a lot of hearsay. If I'd have did that on my job, I'd have been fired. Not that I want anybody to lose their job. Second thing, I asked for this room to be turned around. I presented 3 people here on Tuesday a layout of the room. So I was a designer prior to me teaching and taught that to my kids as well. Doesn't take anything, doesn't cost anything. We're gonna use the same equipment, same chairs, same desk. Let's turn it, folks. People's back to us. People in the audience, we think it's very rude and unprofessional. I haven't seen her even turn around yet, and then just because she's sitting there, you could have been sitting there, I would have said the same thing. So it's not a personal attack or a vendetta. But I think everybody should be facing us, because we're getting like bad vibes, like something underhand is going on when the people aren't towards us.
When Ms. Wertz has a report, she turns her on to the folks.
Not
And if
always.
you can't,
You're
well,
on
you
the
know what?
camera, we can see
You
that.
know what, then from now on, please, people just speak up and ask Courtney to turn around if it's
Yeah.
not good enough, loud enough, because she does have to emote to us this way. And I know you don't wanna hear that, I know you had a meeting, but from,
We did.
with,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll talk about
Lacey,
it.
do you wanna say something about that?
Sure, absolutely. So Lori, we appreciate, Lori made a map of the room and the layout that she
2
suggested.
layouts.
2 layouts here, top and bottom. We spent some time and looked at everything and measured out the room. Unfortunately, neither of these layouts will fit this direction with the dimensions of the desk and the room.
They most certainly will. I added extra chairs in there, desks if needed, so you probably couldn't understand that. They most certainly do. As a designer, I know the exact measurements of the chairs and the desks, but that's okay. Let's just move on to number 3. Number 3. I've witnessed other people, besides Stone and you, have an argument in that parking lot, and nothing was brought up about them. But yet you wanna personally attack him.
Well, that was the facts.
I've
It's
seen
facts.
other people.
It's not personal attack, I
I've
got
seen other
personally
people
attacked.
do the same thing, and nobody said anything to anybody else on the board. My personal opinion is,
Gee, I don't know.
you should have somebody from the fire department on that board, and it's nothing against Lacey. They save people's lives. They know what to do. I think they're better equipped for that. That's my personal opinion. But I've seen other people attack other people verbally in that parking lot, upper and lower, and nothing was said to them. And I had to let
No,
everybody
I
know
certainly
it was
wasn't
said to them.
involved in that,
Thank you very
so,
much.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to Mr. Schmutzer. Name and address, please.
Martin Smutzer, 12 Turner Drive, Whitehall. I'll start with, I thank PAC for words, but the bottom line is I haven't accomplished anything yet. I've had meeting after meeting after meeting with the county people. And that's why people start to hate bureaucrats in government. It's too slow. We're working on it. It's gonna get done. It's as simple as making a call to the overpaid Director of Public Works to then call the superintendent of the South Park Division Regional Office for him to schedule a couple guys. It's a one-day job. I talked to poor Mr. Palmieri. If it wasn't for him, this wouldn't even be considered, because they have no use for me. And he's a county councilman, and it's only because of him that it may get done. I call him every Friday, I tell him it's not in yet, he calls downtown, they call him back, they say, we're gonna schedule it. I'm telling you, if it's not done by October 31st, I'm gonna take the fight downtown to county council chambers. But it's absolutely ridiculous that I have to fight and beg and scream and swear and yell and everything else I do to get one lousy storm sewer, which is only gonna solve 15% of the problem. The borough engineer, I think, came up with 2 good ideas. The second idea is by far the best. And when we go to budget time, that's what you have to consider, doing it well. Don't do it like they screwed up Route 51 and 88 when I went to Kaiser and told him, you're throwing $25 million down the drain on a plan that will solve almost nothing. The correct plan was $45 million. So the state threw $25 million away and didn't solve the problem as they did down by the tubes. A couple other things I want to hit upon. This council is in transition. And I happen to like you guys. I have voted for 6 out of 7 of you. Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter. But you're in transition. We lost two good council people last year in Glenn Nagy and Bob McCown, okay? But you guys have to move on. Four out of the 7 council people have 2 or less years' experience. That's going to create some problems with people that have been here for a long time. But there has to be an amount of respect shown to each colleague. And frankly, when you talk about transparency and residents have to come, whether it's Michael Weiss or these people over here doing the filming, this should be done by the borough. And if you don't have proper Wi-Fi, I don't buy that. I don't buy it at all. You know, residents should not have to be filming the meeting. As far as another issue that's been brought up are these goofy signboards, 1/8 inch plywood, 4 by 8 feet, that you guys do on election day. Guess what? You put up 2. Do you know how many political parties are in the United States? There's 11. I've talked to, okay, wait a second. I've talked to the AC,
Marty,
wait a second,
no,
let me finish.
no, you know what?
All right, I'll be
Everybody
here
has
next
to
month.
abide by the 3 minutes.
You're violating, the ACLU would take this case in a second if I pursue it. I don't wanna pursue it. You guys are wrong.
Well, with the 3-minute limit?
You're costing the taxpayers money with road crew guys, putting them out before the election night. There's 11 political parties, you're only providing boards for 2.
Okay.
It's discriminatory.
Okay.
And there's not one good reason why any of you guys can tell me why you do it.
Okay.
You're getting involved in politics, it's none of your business.
Okay, Marty, we got the.
It's up to the Republican chair and the Democratic chair to handle
Can you
that.
read, I can't read this at all, that last thing. Dan, is that Dan?
Dominic Fratangelo.
Yes, sir. Your name and address, please, when you said your name.
463 South Emblem Drive.
Okay,
I am a 47-year resident of the borough, and I would just like to put forth a proposal to purchase some holiday lights for the borough itself. I guess I'm just basically asking for guidance for how this process might work. I don't know what department I would talk to, I don't know what council person I might talk to, but I do think that almost every borough around us has some holiday lights posted, and I believe that we should get some also. Now, I don't know how the funding thing works. I'm willing to put forth a proposal if it's necessary, but as I said, I'm really looking for some guidance as to how something like this might work.
well, that's so
And
nice of you.
I don't even necessarily, I've looked into the prices for a myriad of lights that can be purchased, and simply putting them up on the pole, you know, we don't really need to have them all through the borough, but in certain locations, I think would be good. I think it's something that would make the borough a better place to live.
Hey, Tom, you
Thank
and
you,
I
sir.
did have a conversation,
Yes.
and I love Christmas lights too, I obviously like Christmas. We will bring this up at budget time. We have 2 problems, as we talked about, of course, the price,
Right,
which is a budget item, but the second problem is then we have to take down the
right. Yeah.
standards or the, whatever holds up the
Right.
Well, I
banners.
actually think
So
that might be
it's
the
not,
easier part.
Well, that might be easier, but it's still
Yeah. It's
a
a question,
complication.
I understand.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about it, but thank you for coming up, we did talk.
Did your wife pass my message?
Yeah.
I called you back. I'm happy to discuss further.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Jane Cassiato, please stand and state your name and address.
Yeah, Jane Cassiato, 5348 High Grove Road. I'd like to update everybody on the state of councilpersons Beth Lynn Eicher's right-to-know requests for files on the purge list. Currently, Ms. Eicher offloaded her printing bill of over $2,600 to personally view the files in the office and not have to pay. And Whitehall Borough was forced to hire an attorney to witness her observation at a cost of $480 for 3.5 hours. The entire cost of Ms. Eicher's request to date is $8,131.21. And Ms. Eicher has an unpaid bill of $56.50 owed to the borough. And if that isn't enough, January's coming and another purge list will be up for a vote. What has Ms. Eicher learned from this $8,100 investment, and how do we trust her conclusion about these documents? Because she doesn't have official copies, anything she quotes should be considered suspect. It is not as if she hasn't pulled a fast one on the residents in the past. I also want to bring up last meeting's nomination of Lacey Thomas to an unpaid position on the MRTSA board. It's not as if Mr. Lucetti fabricated a position in the borough that pays $125,000 and makes Ms. Thomas the borough czar. No, that happened in November of 2013 when the Baldwin Whitehall School Board, that meeting that was rescheduled without a sunshine law notification. With that being said, this position was vacated last January, and any potential candidates could have attended the MRTSA meetings. So I hope tonight does not turn into a LARP for Ms. Eicher and Mr. Soborowski to make political hay. They were the ones who bred mistrust. It should come as no surprise they are reaping that mistrust. Thank you.
The position was $120,000, number one.
Okay, you know what,
And
we
number
can have a
two,
discussion among
I'm
the
the only
members here.
school director in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that kept taxes the same or lowered them for 8
Okay,
straight
Marty.
years.
Okay, this
Names
discussion
were
is
not-
done.
names were not
You're
mentioned.
nothing but a bully.
No names were mentioned.
Personal attacks on Miss Edgar all the time, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
You should leave the
Oh.
Get
meeting.
that finger up
Yeah.
there.
One more thing. I was personally attacked by this woman in the lobby after the July meeting.
Everyone, please
She
settle down.
swore
Jay,
obscenities to
we
me,
need
and
to-
it took the
chief.
the chief to break
Okay,
it up.
All
Sit down,
right,
your
no more
time's up.
yelling and discussion, or you have to leave
No,
the
she still had a
chambers.
minute.
No,
Your time's
no
up.
more, no more. We have to move on here with the meeting. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to the bills and payroll. Ms. Wertz,
Thank you, Ms. Book. Administrative
Hey,
Services,
you're
Mrs.
right.
Stepue.
in order.
Planning and Zoning, Mr. Lucetti.
In order?
Public Safety, Mr. B.
In order.
Public Works, Mrs. Eicher. In order. Recreation, Mr. Soborowski.
In order.
Library, Mrs. Thomas. In order. Storm Sewer Fund, Mrs. Eicher. In order. Sanitary Sewer Fund, Mrs. Eicher. In order. Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, Mrs. Depew.
In order.
And Capital Project Fund, Mrs. Depew.
In order.
I would ask for a motion to approve bills in the bill list dated October 16th, 2024, from the general fund totaling $310,975.60, from the storm sewer fund totaling $712.24, from the sanitary sewer fund totaling $324,870.32, from the local fiscal recovery fund totaling $5,754.64, and from the capital projects fund totaling $1,828.25.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I would also ask for a motion to ratify checks and transfers from the general fund in the amount of $98,921.07, from the sanitary sewer fund in the amount of $92.43, and, oh, I'm sorry, just both of those for now.
So moved.
Second, sorry.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And then I'd also ask for a motion to ratify payroll fund checks and transfers from the payroll date of October 6, 2024, in the amount of $54,270.59, for the total payroll fund to be ratified $75,161.18.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
I am doing so in knowledge that this is in accordance with the Public Works union contract. Thank you.
Okay, motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. I'd also ask for a motion to approve payroll for the pay date of October 4th, 2024, in the amount of $174,758.29.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And there is an overtime list attached to that.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the approval of our minutes.
Okay, I would like to add something to the minutes on page 10, the last
Correction?
Mr. Lucetti asked for a contribution of $300 towards Stop for School Buses campaign. I did ask him at that meeting, I think, if you would please pass on to that organization, what happens to these signs? Who can take them down when they're damaged, when they're bent? like some I don't want it just to grow, the signs go up and then they get destroyed or partially destroyed and no one's in charge. So if you could just clarify, and I'd like that on the minutes, because I did ask that at the last meeting.
Okay. All right, with that amendment, is there a motion and a second
I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved,
as amended?
as amended.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, next we have our report from Mayor Noah.
Thank you, Madam President. It's good to be back in the United States of America. First item I have is the animal control report. Police Department received 51 complaints. 36 of those complaints were referred to South Hills Animal Control. So that means the difference was handled by Public Works or the police. That represents a 6.25% usage rate, which is about average. Of the complaints that were referred, there were 29 that involved accidents or animal complaints involving wildlife. There were 19 deer removal in September of 2024. So that's, we think, pretty significant. And this year's deer management program runs from September 21st to the November 29th, and then from December 26th through January 25th.
And what does the 19 reflect?
The 19,
Yeah,
19 deer were
the fine.
removed somewhere in the borough.
No, define what a deer removal is. Is that just a,
So
hit by a
deer, maybe I'll let the chief.
We have one reported motor vehicle accident involving a deer.
okay,
I would imagine at least a third of these probably were struck by a car, but not everybody stops and reports them. Sometimes they run off and it takes a day or two and they'll pass in somebody's yard, and then the resident calls us to have animal control come and pick them up.
So for instance, I had 2 in my backyard
okay, so
last year.
that's 8, roughly, you said a third?
I'm estimating. I mean,
So
it could be higher.
The other was removed from our deer management plan?
No, this is just dead deer.
Dead deer, these are dead deer on the road, or in somebody's backyard.
So deer management program, when it's done, they will give the numbers that were harvested.
So that's, this is just corresponding with the dates, that's why I said.
Yeah, like last year, Bill, I had a dead doe and a dead fawn in my yard. And of course, there was no reason, there must,
Okay.
so.
I thought maybe the
All right,
program was-
so, but just to let you know, this is all over the world, so I don't know if it was reviewed at the last meeting, my wife had a conference in Australia, and I was there with her. And so we talked to a family that we met on the bus going somewhere. And they were talking about, in Australia, they have kangaroos that come out of the bush and run into cars. They hit them with cars, and the kangaroos run in. So all over the world, people are dealing with animals and having confrontations with animals. And before I leave animals, I want to recognize Pat Knezevich. For 40 years ago, she founded Animal Advocates, and that organization is still in existence. It's not quite as big as Animal Friends, but it's still a significant force in the protection of animals in our region. And she also started a co-op or something, right? 40 years ago that is still in operation. So she will be recognized by Animal Advocates. Pat, congratulations. All right, moving along. I have an Eagle Scout ceremony. Haven't had one in a while for a Whitehall resident, Alexander Scott Newhouse. And for Alyssa, that's Neuhaus. And his project was to put in, he actually got recognition at the school board meeting. He put in these podiums, as I understand. I have to go see it, and I will go see it before I go to the, go to the Court of Honor. But podiums outside of Harrison Middle School, and I believe one of the other schools, it might be Painter, but it enables teachers to teach in the outdoors, so the teacher can go to the podium and, there was a special reason why he wanted that particular, project, and there were quite a number of podiums that were put up, so congratulations to him, and, I will be, going to that, Eagle Scout Court of Honor. I'm gonna indicate, it's not on the agenda, but I'm gonna indicate that council concurs in this citation of merit that I will be issuing. So just so you know that, and that'll take place October 26th. Along the lines of Eagle Scout projects, several meetings ago, I mentioned Michael Hawes was interested in doing something at behind the tennis, no, in front of in between the tennis courts and the pool. And I would like to see him move forward on that by discussing with the borough manager, discussing with the Whitehall Committee for Environmental Action and the Shade Tree Commission, what would be a good project for down there. But I'd like to see that move forward. There was a lot, the day we went down, there was a lot of traffic coming through there. I think one of the things he's thinking about is a bench and some planting of some sort. But remember, he will have to come to council, and that's part of the Eagle Scout experience. So I would like to tell him, I'm gonna tell him that, he should talk to the borough manager and to the Shade Tree and to Wika about this project, and then the project ultimately will be brought to council to approve for down in that area. But I'd like to see him move forward. So that's what I'm gonna do. If anybody has an issue with that.
Mayor, do you have his call? I can reach out to him.
Okay, all right. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, if you give me a vote.
Yeah, okay. I probably have some information. All right, next up, Chief Gregoric met with Jared Hoffman of Spring Valley Drive last week to discuss the neighborhood traffic calming petition. Both agreed to maintain open communications as the police department begins the preliminary evaluation process. So that is moving along. Deputy Chief Gable attended the FBI Great Lakes Leadership Seminar in Buffalo, New York, the week of October 7th, 40-hour session focused on effective leadership, officer wellness, media engagement, and current events for today's police leaders. Chief Gregoric also attended this at one time, and I believe you felt it was a very beneficial experience.
It is. He has a full report for Councilwoman Thomas.
And then Officer Bradford has announced that K-9 Finn will be retiring at the end of October after 6 years of dedicated service to the residents of Whitehall. So, trick-or-treating will be on October 31st from 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. The police department has a limited supply of reflective wristbands available for residents. So if you know anybody who would benefit from a reflective wristband, they can stop in and see one of our dispatchers. So just come into the police department. If you want to make a neighborhood run, right? You can do that. The fire department, I know, has a report. So Skip, would you like to give the fire company's report?
Sure. Fire we're getting called to is in Brentwood on Pyramid Avenue. Okay, our fire call total this year is 526 calls. Actually, it's up since then. Last year, our total for the year was 536, so we'll surpass that number and have a record year this year. There have been 40 calls since the last report on September 18th. Our daylight shift crew responded to over 18 daylight calls. Our current membership is 32 active firefighters, and we have 1 applicant. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the referral.
You're welcome.
For that. The fire company received its annual allocation from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania of over $80,000 through the Foreign Fire Insurance Act. We are regulated by the state to use the funds to purchase items that protect firefighters, such as radios, fire gear, certain equipment, and insurance. Last year, our insurance expenses were $43,000 alone. That leaves us with half the amount to pay for remaining aforementioned items. One of our insurance policies is a 24-hour, $30,000 policy for our members under the age of 70, and that's round the clock. Our members with 20 or more years of service and over the age of 70 have a $20,000 a year life insurance benefit. We also have workers' comp supplemental insurance and disability policies to protect our firefighters from income loss if workman's comp does not fully cover their salary. So if the borough's workman's comp is based on an $80,000 salary and say I make $100,000 a year, that policy will kick in, so I won't have any income loss for that. We are currently evaluating proposals from other insurance vendors to reduce costs. Unfortunately, we may have to modify or reduce some coverage due to cost increases and stagnant revenue from the Commonwealth over the past few years. The Whitehall Fire Company invested $3,000 to replace original course lighting on our aerial truck boom with LED lights. Lights are invaluable in lighting up a fire scene when the boom is in use. The quartz lights we originally had on it generate a lot of heat, and if they come in contact with moisture or water, which there is during fires, they will often burn out constantly and replace them after we use them during a fire training. The LED lights will pay for themselves within 3 to 4 years based upon past replacement costs of the quartz lights. Our fund drive has received 1,525 donations at a total of $121,050. Last year at this time, our donations totaled $120,104 with 1,572 donors. The Whitehall Fire Company will be on the streets of Whitehall for Halloween trick or treat from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 31st, 2024. And our next monthly meeting will be Monday, October 21st at 7 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Two other items. One is, well, three. One is that the Whitehall Committee for Environmental Action met. One of the subjects handled was the sustainability mark. I know Tricia's trying to reach you, so if you can give her a call, that would be great. And the Whitehall Borough Historical Society is having Tom McMillan, who wrote an excellent book on Flight 93. He will be speaking. I think there's 60 people already signed up, and it's moving. So if you haven't signed up, make sure that there's a place for you, a seat in the auditorium, or in the community room, because it's going to be very popular. And I've seen him talk, and I was blown away by his research on Flight 93.
I might just add that those 60 people do not include the members of the Whitehall Historical Society, trustees and officers. So we're really looking at probably at least 70 there now, if not more.
As of this afternoon, there was only 17 spots left.
Thank you.
We were looking to advertise it for you, but I'm not sure we're gonna need to.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about it, make sure you sign up, and you will thank me. It's really good. And lastly, last Wednesday, I was in Kane Borough to present the Mayor of the Year Award for the Pennsylvania State Mayors Association. And I can't tell you how impressed I was with Kane Borough. They have a mayor and council that is just, works so well together. They're so integrated with a lot of they have an executive director who is for their Chamber of Commerce, Industrial Authority, and Community Development Board. So all three boards, this executive director is involved with, and she works with the mayor, on different projects. And there was so much harmony. It's just I'm just pointing it out, that put it on your radar as a place to visit. And it is within like maybe 35 minutes of Kinzua Dam and the Kinzua Bridge. It's within another short distance of the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania at Wellsboro. It's within a short distance of Bradford, and it's right on the edge of the National Forest. So there's a lot of reasons to go and visit Kane Borough, but I think one of the things that came up was like in the last couple of years, 40 new businesses have, come to this community, and it's only 3,600 in population. So I just thought I would, share that as a place to, for everybody to, keep in your sights. It's a great place to visit. So that's all I have, Madam President.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor?
Yes, I do. Will there be a successor for the canine? And just curious, I mean, how long will that take to get into service?
Yeah,
It all depends on, you don't just go to a pet store.
Understand.
So we have several things that we have to look into. We have to see if there's an interest, we have to evaluate the program, and we also have to see when the kennels have dogs available and when the canine academies are planning on holding classes for the type of dog that we utilize.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Chief.
I would recommend move forward. A canine is valuable. I know they're hard to get and the expense, but
Realistically, looking at the time of year that we're in, it probably would not be before 2026.
Wow.
Well, because it's like I said, you just don't go to a pet
No.
store, pet store and get a canine. You have to see when they're coming in from Germany and overseas, and when they're available to start training, because they can't even start their training, I believe, until they're 2 years old.
Gotcha.
Thank
Just
you.
know that we did, we have been looking into it, so, the Pittsburgh, training is really has so much business right now, right, they couldn't even take this.
Yes, they just got a whole new crew of dogs in that they're training, and I think they're doing bomb dogs now, and then they're looking at maybe explosive, a different type of explosive in the spring. They might look at apprehension and narcotics in the fall, so it's a moving target at this point.
And they did it for free for us before.
We had very good success with the city of Pittsburgh Canine Academy.
Right. So I'm just saying that, yes, I agree with you, but we need to, move as quickly as we can. But just be aware that there are a lot of obstacles that we have to overcome before we actually do that.
so we can have one ready by tomorrow.
We can't have one ready by tomorrow.
Next week.
And then the other thing to consider though too is it can take anywhere from 2 to 3 months for the officer, the handler, and the canine to train together. That's something else we have to consider, how long the officer's gonna be off the road and our staffing time.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to
May-
our,
Linda, may I just say a word, being that we're
just,
talking,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, about animals. When the animal advocate protested back in the 90s, or it could have been early 2000s, against circuses in the city of Pittsburgh, at the time they were holding a circus, a bull broke its leg. And there was no vet on hand to tend to this animal for almost 24 hours. We, as a small group, fought very hard to get circuses with live animals out of this city. And it worked. And I just got a call this week that a rodeo has signed up with the city of Pittsburgh to bring animals in for entertainment again. Now, I don't have all the rules and regulations on that, but if anybody in here really cares, start calling the city and asking why we have rules on the books stating that no live animals are to be used for rodeos in this
Thanks,
city.
Pat.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And that's good information. It's good that the public can get involved like that.
Yeah, just
So I'm gonna
your
move on
phone
to,
call would mean a lot
yes.
with the mayor's office
Thank
at
you.
the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's good. Solicitors report, Mr. Furman.
Thank you. The only item I would have is to request, council, we had received a request for reimbursement of a sewer bill that was over the normal amount due to leakage at 4724 Brownsville Road. So I'd ask that just a motion be made to put that on the agenda for consideration at the next meeting.
there a motion?
Still moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further, tonight, Ms. Cook, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Furman. Next, we have our engineer, Mr. Usmazel.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have quite a list for you this evening to work through. All is contained in our October 11th, 2024 report. On page 2, item 4, Overlook Park. As you're aware, the park has been completed, grand opening occurred. So now we're just in the hot mix of contract closeout. We do have 3 of the 4 contracts that will be ready to close out this evening. Caliber is still preparing a few items, so I would expect a final payment at the next meeting. The Caliber Contracting Services submitted their 10th pay application and change order number 2. We reviewed the pay application and the change order and recommend payment. Work completed under this application included erosion and sedimentation control maintenance and removal, standard duty concrete pavement, bituminous parking, and demobilization. Change order number 2 is for the soft spot repairs that occurred underneath of the stairs, as well as the wall coming into the park. And that change order amount is $4,260. So a recommended motion is to approve pay application number 10 in the amount of $77,323.47 for the Overlook Park Improvement Contract number 1, general construction to Caliber Contracting Services Incorporated, subject to receiving all required documentation.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next item would be Hanlon Electric submitted their 4th pay application, as well as a change order number 2, as well as their contract closeout documentation. We reviewed the pay application and change order and closeout documentation, recommend payment. Work completed under this application included fixtures, lamp connections. Change order number 2 was for work associated for the additional labor and material to install the downlights in lieu of the wall-mounted fixtures on the outside of the restroom. Change order number 2 is in the amount of $456.34. Recommended motion is to approve pay application number 4 and final in the amount of $5,712.48 for the Overlook Park Improvement Contract 2, electrical construction to Hanlon Electric Company, subject to receiving all final documents.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
First American submitted their 5th and final pay application and change order number 1. We reviewed the pay application and change order number 1 and recommend payment. Work completed for this pay application included project closeout. Change order number 1 was for work included in installation of the in-ground meter vault near the street. That change order was in the amount of $5,659.36. The recommended motion is to approve pay application number 5 and final in the amount of $14,559.36 for the Overlook Park Contract 3, plumbing construction to First American Industries Incorporated.
Second. Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And lastly, the Controlled Climate Systems submitted their 4th and final pay application. That pay application is in order and we recommend payment. Work completed under pay application number 4 included control balancing and punch list work. Recommended motion is to approve pay application number 4 and final in the amount of $3,935.00 for the Overlook Park Improvement Contract 4, the mechanical construction to Controlled Climate Systems Incorporated, subject to receiving all required documentation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So in total, all 4 contracts, we finished and wrapped that, closed that project out with 0.6% in change orders, not quite a percent. So all in all, it went very well. Under phase 2, the stairs, The borough received 5 bid proposals at the bid opening on October 9th. CH&D Enterprises Incorporated submitted the lowest responsive bid with a total bid price of $148,600. The bid summary has been attached to that report. Our recommended motion is to award the Overlook Park Phase 2 improvements to the lowest qualified bidder, CH&D Enterprises Incorporated, in the amount of $148,600 and no cents.
Is there a motion?
I got a question, please.
Sure.
Scott, could you, is that a fair price? It just seems pretty high.
No, we were yes, to answer your question, yes, it is a fair price. Okay. We were estimating the stairs to come in over 200,000.
And that's also, though, to clarify, and for everybody here, that is the stairs, but also the walking path, yes?
Yes, the walking path from the bottom of the stairs to Spring Valley.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. That does not include anything other than the park. That is just the
Correct.
steps. So everybody on the same page. That's just steps, friends. $148,000.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I do
No,
have another
motion?
question, yes. So we discussed last time, upon the discussion of budgetary, reasoning of would we move forward with these stairs or, Prospect Park stairs. Now, I see that we're moving forward with accepting the bid, and awarding the bid. Does that commit us to necessarily going forth and choosing the Overlook Park? Not to say that one is better than the other. I'm just want some clarification on that. Thank you.
Well, if you would enter into contract here, then it would be for the stairs at Overlook Park.
Yes, I know that we couldn't necessarily swap one park for the other because it's different terrain and everything. What I wanna know is about, the budgetarily speaking, where would that, leave us regarding, then, if we vote yes, then that means we must, go forward with the Overlook Park stairs, or would it be still under discussion come budget season?
Well, this is the approval for it, so this would be.
Okay.
This commits us to doing this.
This commits to
I
us,
also
okay,
have two
thank you.
questions on this, because I've been thinking seriously about which set of steps should be done.
Yeah.
How long do we have on this? Can we have our budget meeting first to decide, to see if we can do both sets of steps, or if we can only do one?
The
There's a lot of, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. The contract prices are valid for 60 days. So to answer your question, yes.
Yes.
So we get all.
Because obviously Spring Valley has a lot of traffic, we've had questions about it. Are we being safer putting new steps in there? Are we being safer, Prospect Park, it allows a lot of children to walk down into the park, but they have a driveway, they're not necessarily walking a lot on the road to get down there. But those steps are absolutely closed, so it's not going to be an easy situation. I guess what I'm asking, is there money in the budget to do both sets of steps?
Yeah, we shouldn't have to choose.
But,
We should do both.
could we hold off
Safety.
the vote
On
on
this
this
one?
until?
Yeah, I
Make a
agree.
motion to table this?
Yes, I
This
think we
option?
should just table that
I agree.
and discuss it, like you said. We have the 60-day window for our budget meeting, so we'll just table that motion.
Did you come up with a price on the Prospect? Okay,
Yes, we did.
okay.
Okay,
If you're gonna share it, oh, okay, we'll talk about it at
Yeah,
budget time, I'm sure it's gonna
a
be
budget
as high.
time, but it's north of 270,000.
okay, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to table
Yes,
that proposal,
I'll make that motion that we table
the recommended
the
motion.
recommended motion
For the
E
phase
to
two.
award Phase 2 Overlook Park improvements to CH&D Enterprises until after budgetary discussions.
And
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Okay, with a second?
Yes.
Motion's being second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries to table, thank you.
Okay, page 4, item 11, under the 2024 pavement maintenance program. Mealy and Sons submitted their first pay application request. Excuse me, we've reviewed it, it's in order. The recommended motion is to approve pay application number 1 in the amount of $414,131.13 for the 2024 Whitehall Borough Pavement Maintenance Program to Mealy and Son Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made second. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, just jumping ahead on the page 5, item 14. Under the Mertza solar panels, we received one bid proposal at the bid opening on October 9th. Elysium Solar LLC submitted the only bid with a total bid price of $73,000. The bid summary is attached. So we're recommending approval award of that contract with Borough Budget's permit.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is that, didn't we budget or plan for about 50,000?
Correct, so the budget for 2024 includes, it's $50,000 for the pilot program. That being said, a few weeks ago, the finance director and myself actually attended a seminar that the IRS put on. I don't know how familiar any of you are with the Inflation Reduction Act and their new provision called elective pay or direct pay. And in short, it essentially grants entities that don't typically file tax returns, governments, the ability to take advantage of what traditionally homeowners get on their tax returns for installing solar panels, and that's up to 30% of the project cost. So rough math, 30% of a $70,000 project is roughly $21,000 in a tax credit that we would be owed after the project is completed, installed, we do all the paperwork with the IRS. We wouldn't see those funds come back until next year, but for comparison, it brings the project cost down to the, closer to the original.
50, yeah, we have 50s put aside for the budget,
Yes.
52,000.
We would see that refund essentially next year if you decide to go forward with the project now.
During 2025 or after the 2025 tax year is done? Like, how long would this take for installation and what, like, so like.
For installation, it would be completed.
Yes.
In 2025.
And then we
So
could
then
start
we
the
wouldn't-
paperwork in 2025 early. I spoke with Baldwin Borough because they, as many of you know, they just installed electronic vehicle chargers. So
Right.
they're at the start of the process with the IRS doing this.
Okay.
They have said it is lengthy, but the gentleman from the Treasury essentially said, if you do this and fill out the paperwork, you will get the money. So it's just gonna take a bit. I think we may see it in 2025, at the latest it would be 2026, depending on those delays.
What are we looking at in personnel costs to do all of these extra processes that we don't normally do?
It's mine and the finance director's time.
Which takes your time, but like it takes your time away from other things like grant writing, and I mean, it's still a money-saving item, but
Absolutely.
we have to balance that with all the other things that they are already.
I will say we
doing a
have
lot
been
of.
in close contact with Baldwin Borough, as I said,
Yes.
because they're starting it, so we're, they're really great partners and neighbors and sharing information.
That'll be good.
So
You won't have
it's
to
interesting
read
to
it.
see, how they're moving forward with it, and to get more feedback as it progresses.
Sandy,
But-
any question?
Yeah, do we have any idea when these panels would, are projected to pay for themselves, like a timeline on that?
There was no analysis done on this because this is a closed bid process. If you recall, for the past year, or a year ago, actually more than that, we had started with the program requesting proposals from various companies through Get Solar and PA Solar Center. Most of those proposals, now this is somewhat analogous, what the return on investment was 7 to 8 years.
7 to 8 years?
I have one question. I attended a PSAB webinar, about this very topic about, making sure that you have all your ducks in a row to get your refund. And there was some sort of, make sure that you have documentation of prevailing wage. And I've seen, past contracts that Gateway has done and to make sure that that is indeed part of the lengthy binder that's involved with that, and I just wanted to make sure that duck was in the row.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you.
I
Alright, so how do we move forward?
There's a motion on the agenda if you choose to award it.
So do we have a motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion to move the contract. The solar panels.
We're not gonna pay it until next, it's in our budget for
It's in our
twenty
budget
twenty-four,
anyway.
but we're not gonna be able to pay on the project until 2025. So.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, under, for item H, I, and J on the agenda, focus attention to page 4, item 13, good news for the borough. You'll recall a few months ago, or 2 months ago, the borough gave blessings to submit for the Alcosan Cycle 9 Grow Grants. The borough received assistance for our consent order for all 3 projects that were submitted. Just as a summary, for the Streets Run sewer shed, and that would include Streets Run Road, Flamingo Drive area, the grant amount was 82% of the cost of construction, or $124,000 and change. For the Streets Run, Parkline Drive, Varner, and Girard areas, that grant that was approved was for 52%, or $257,600. And then for the Sawmill Run, Dunn Drive, East Barland, and Frank Street, the grant amount for that project was 18%, or $105,900. So all in, the borough received 40% of the estimated cost of construction for $487,587.75. So you did very well.
Fantastic.
Like to hear
How's
that.
that compare to other municipalities, like
For projects
percentage-wise? Like,
similar-
do we get a lot more? I'm curious.
Ms. Thomas, so for projects that we're proposing, for this part of the consent order, it's aligning of the sewer and manhole rehabilitation. So typically, those projects or the grant amounts are approximately 20%.
Okay.
Very well. Communities that have the combination sewers, where they don't have separate storm and separate sanitary sewers, are combined, for communities who have those type of systems, if they are proposing to separate them, the storm and the sanitary, they qualify typically for more grant money.
Gotcha.
Essentially, it's more money that's gone to Alcosan, or more flow that's gone to Alcosan when it rains.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. And for everybody that did work towards getting and applying for these grow grants and saving us $487,000. Thank you.
Item H on the agenda would be, we need a motion to authorize proper borough officials to sign the Alcosan Grow Grant agreements for the Sawmill Run Source Flow Reduction Project.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We also would need a motion to authorize proper borough officials to sign the Alcosan Grow Grant agreements for the Streets Run M42-MB-L-14 Source Reduction Project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And the final motion that would be needed this evening for this would be to authorize the proper borough officials to sign Alcosan Grow Grant agreements for the Streets Run M42-MB-L-15 Source Flow Reduction Project.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
That's all I have to report on.
That's
If
it.
there are any questions? Time's up.
I thought that like the $487,000 last, that was great.
Thought you were the mayor for a minute.
Well, thank you, Scott. All right. Let's see, moving on to our manager's report, Ms. Wertz.
Thank you, Ms. Buck. The first item of my report is in regards to the Shaycog Joint O&M Preventative Maintenance Year 14. So bids for that project were received by Shaycog on October 3rd and included in your packet is the bid tab. State Pipe Services is the low bidder with Whitehall share totaling $94,807.50. So I ask that council concur with awarding the joint O&M preventative maintenance year 14 contract to State Pipe Services.
So moved.
Second, sorry.
Okay, motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and then next up, if you recall back in May, Mr. Beath had reported on a fraud presentation from a Shaycog board meeting That information was given to staff for investigation, and we have been spending the summer meeting with the bank. So additionally, Mrs. Depew has been sharing information from the various organizations and boards that she sits on regarding this topic. It's a very hot topic in the municipal world. So staff has met with our bank representatives to discuss check fraud measures that the borough could implement to better protect against fraud and increase our security measures in regards to our spending. So West Banco has identified their commercial multi-card program as the solution that would best meet these goals. Note that this is just a method to conduct or to combat financial fraud. It's not foolproof, but this is the best practice that's available right now to entities such as ourselves. So
What does it entail as opposed to what we?
So I'll summarize, but it's quite lengthy here. The multi-card program offers multiple purchasing card options on a single platform managed through the West Banco website. So it's the same bank we're using, not a third-party entity. This card program offers increased fraud protection and control over transactional spending. It will help decrease the amount of checks written as a whole, as well as increase security measures for the credit card transactions. The program offers physical cards that can be utilized anywhere that Visa is accepted. The cards can be restricted by purchase types and specific spend limits. There are real-time card management functions and automated alerts. There is the ability to monitor transactions as they are occurring to better mitigate the risk of fraudulent transactions, so we would catch fraud quickly. The virtual cards are instantly available to be used for one-time online payments, to set up for specific vendors online, restrictions on spending types, vendor, amount, and frequency. So it could be a single use, it could be a specific amount of transactions per month. You would have a limit on that and control. The virtual card can also be used for one-time and recurring purchases. They also have increased security with unauthorized transactions will not successfully process, given the parameters that we put on them. And there's no limit to the number of virtual cards that can be issued, which helps protect against fraud. The program uses a floating payment schedule, which would debit the full statement amount from a pre-authorized account through the bank. The float time between the close of the statement and the payment is 25 days. So the statement close date is set with account management and the bank to maintain operational continuity with our payment approval process, approving the bills here at council meetings. The set float period allows for the funding to remain in high interest-bearing accounts until transferred to meet the payment deadline, unlike our check payments, which can take extended time. You mail it, put it in the mail, takes a few days to get there, takes them time to cash it on their end. So there's no interest paid on this account because we're paying it in full. And then on the other side, the money remains in our accounts longer, in our higher interest accounts, which we are still seeing close to 5% in our Pliget accounts. So that's fantastic money that's being made on the money that we already have. If the maximum spend limit is met prior to the end of the statement period, a payment can be authorized through the management system to provide additional spending opportunity, but it allows for additional opportunity for increased rebates and better cash flow liquidity management. So the rebate structure that is offered through this program does provide a percentage incremental increase of the total spend in a 1-year period that is returned to the borough. So I think a good analogy here is like a cash back on your credit card. Analogy, not completely the same. But there's no restrictions on the use of this rebate as it's a cashback deposit into the same fund that we would have the pre-authorized account from payments being deducted. So the rebate is calculated and processed on the anniversary of the account activation, which is an added benefit to the borough. We're already paying these bills, we're obligated to pay these, we're just gonna benefit from paying it. Right now, the documents, you have all the documents from the bank. We are being conservative in the amount that we are gonna start off using this program for. We do think there's room to expand and really benefit from this rebate program as well, given the amounts that you see here on the bill list that we're paying month after month. So there will be no change on your end as far as how council approves bills. It's a back end change on how the payments are processed. So less physical checks. But more electronic transactions that come with better safeguards. So that being said, I ask that council authorize the proper borough officials to sign the agreements for this program.
I have a quick question. Who would be the proper borough officials at this time?
Myself and Ms. Book are named on the agreements in your packet.
As you are the current acting council president, and then it would rotate whenever there would be another council president.
Yes.
So Mr.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
That's a good move. The fire company uses the same because we had checks stolen in US mail. Somebody tried to do it, so, we get notified when we get purchases and it's very safe. And
Great.
it's cost effective, no checks, no postage, no delayed payment, so it'll benefit you.
Security in place.
I wanna thank the fire company, because in addition to Mr. Veep and, Mrs. McHugh bringing this to our attention, Mike Siccotti, the former treasurer, was really helpful in describing the program to you guys, which is a little bit different than this, since our cash flow is a lot bigger, but they were really great kickstarting this process for us, so many thanks.
Yes, ma'am, you have a
Yeah,
question?
I think that I love the idea of getting more interest on the money or getting rebates. But I think the functionality is so robust, and we have such a lean crew of people to work this program, that the functions should be added one at a time so that it's thoroughly understood just how and where the money is flying around in this wonderful program, financial program. That's one of the things the auditors said to us, was that we did not have many people that were really watching the money. And I think it's great. I think it, in the long term,
Yeah, this
it'll be
should help.
good. But just to turn on the functions one at a time and really understand what's going on in the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the last item is just budget meeting reminder. The first budget meeting will be before the first meeting in November, so that will be November 2nd at 9 a.m. here in council chambers.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wertz. Any questions for Ms. Wertz? Move on to Assistant Manager, Ms. Rodella.
I do not have a report, other than I'm sure you've all seen in the lobby that staff is once again participating in the pumpkin decorating contest. So if you did not vote on your
Oh,
way
yeah.
in, please do so on your way out.
A lot of talent in this building.
So fun.
Very cute. Thank you. Okay, our committee reports. Library, Ms. Thomas.
Yes, thank you so much. Jason Holiday from our library board is here to give a report. Very excited. Thanks, Jason.
All right, here we go. Let's end this on a bang. Few things from the library. Something from the past. A lot of you will remember Whitehall Reads for this year was on American Siren. So because of that program, obviously that is a story about Pittsburgh and the history of the first paramedics in the United States. So that has now carried over to a couple other libraries that are using our same seminar and our same format. Not only that, but there's also going to be CCAC South is going to be holding a program due to the fact that we brought that to the public and some others were able to hear about that. So because of that, Whitehall Library and Paula, of course, was highlighted in a recent WQED stakeholders event about WQED starting this, creating the message, Paula seeing that, picking up on it, and now it's spreading even further. So that's something from the past that is continuing to grow. Something else is we are going to continue our collaboration with Dress for Success Pittsburgh, hosting a pop-up event to provide folks with clothing and employment readiness support. So that event is on October 18th, actually, so just something, not one of the regular programs to share with you. Something else, all of the wireless access points were both replaced and upgraded. Anywhere in the library, you can get Wi-Fi access. You can also park in the parking lot of the library and get Wi-Fi access. And that is something that folks have utilized in the past. Why would you want to park at the library and not use the library? Well, because after hours, students are submitting homework, people are submitting resumes after hours, so they're able to park in the parking lot and utilize that. The thing that I will point out is that this was all thanks to a grant from the Henry L. Hillman Foundation to county libraries. So there is no expense to Whitehall Library to get that upgraded. Take that, Mr. I saved $487,000. Last, in cooperation, obviously, and really led by Friends of the Library. The past month was Love Your Library. So, great news to report. Raised more than $34,000 during the month. $33,000 of that is part of the prorated match from the Jack Buncher Foundation. So that is money that goes to our Friends of the Library, which is a separate organization that will then provide funds annually, which is part of our budget, to the library. So we're happy with those numbers. We are just a little bit above last year's number on that, but excited that we were able to get that. Short and sweet. Thanks very much.
Okay, next we have recreation. I see Hannah's here to report.
Alrighty, the Recreation Department is partnering with Miss Denise at the library and Achieva Early Intervention for a Birds of a Feather preschool readiness group. This is an inclusive play group for a learning environment to help children prepare for the transition into preschool and beyond. Our first play group is tomorrow in the community room from 10:30 to 11:45. On Friday, after Dress for Success, we encourage residents to ride around the community from 6 to 9 to vote on the Halloween house decorating contest. The map of the contestants, as well as the Google form to submit your votes, will be posted on the Recreation Facebook as well as the Borough website. There are 5 categories: spookiest decoration, cute and creepy, best overall, most unique, and crowd favorite. The crowd favorite can be awarded to anyone, no matter if they're in the contest or not. The Recreation Department will go around on Sunday to give out the yard signs and prizes. Lastly, the Recreation Department is also partnering with Denise Ganaski, again from the Children's Library, on the Whitehall Winter Sustainability Market. There are some papers over there, as well as council got papers on this market. We're collecting donations till November 8th. The donations can be at the administration building during office hours, the library during office hours, and the police department 24/7. It's a list of acceptable donation. It's a zero waste, it's zero cost winter market, and will allow guests to shop for their families at no cost. This is great for families and children who love a chance for new life and new love for community treasures. The market will take place on November 30th in the community room from 10 to 12. So if you would like to see that, or if you have anything sitting at home that you would like to donate, we would love to be able to give it to somebody else that might be in need.
If I could, Dom, I'm so glad you're here tonight. I know how passionate you are about this.
I'm glad to be here.
But is there a way, Kathy, that we can tie his program? I know you've spoken to each other, but where we do the house decorating, could we do something commercial? And have an award for the commercial?
Ooh. Oh, let me think about that.
A new category?
Because we don't really have a lot of individual commercial
We got a lot done in Castle Village.
spaces. But, yeah.
The residents of Whitehall did a good job last year.
But he's talking about just
Talking about
commercial.
side now.
You know, one year, Kathy, we did have the nursing homes and stuff.
Eaton Park
So
has
we
one
did that,
previously,
remember?
they were nominated.
They were
We did
nominated
Yes.
once.
But maybe advertise a little bit more. Don's be glad to go out and do all this. You're gonna make a slight donation, I assume, right?
Absolutely.
Well, if you wear a Santa hat when we go out.
You're a half.
Where we at? So we're done with the recreation report, thank you. Public Works, Ms. Iker.
Okay, so this is more of a discussion on the transparency of the storm sewer fund, which brings in approximately $700K in revenues via not only the storm sewer fees, but the delinquencies fees from the storm sewer fees when our residents are late, as well as interest. Where does the interest come from? There is approximately $1.6 million in a not a sanitary sewage fund, but storm sewage fund so that we can have money for big emergencies. And I believe that this fund continues to transfer money from it on a regular basis to the tune of $67,000 on an annual basis to help us pay for, of course, where we got such a nice little nest egg is through a $3.3 million loan that was made at West Banco approximately 8 years ago. So, after we pay the principal and the interest payments on that, assuming that the payments and the interest stay the same, of course, and assuming that our fees for M4 compliance, and of course paying Jordan Tax Services for the privilege of being the ones to collect our storm sewer fees, that leaves us with approximately $300K to work with for emergency and planned projects, assuming that we only take the $65,000 out of the storm sewer fund, where we can continue to grow interest to create some revenue sources, as well as stay away for something incredibly catastrophic. Now, we did get quite a bit of good news on our engineering report concerning some projects that I hope would certainly take care of something that has been on our docket list for some time. It's called the Streets Run Swell, as per the 2024 budget that was budgeted for $600K. In previous years that was budgeted for somewhere around $40K. So it would be nice to see if those two projects intersect. Do you have any insights on that?
I followed the Streets Run Swale. I'm not certain about the 600,000. If you could repeat that.
So 600,000 is on the 2024 budget that we're in right now, and it says Streets Run Swale.
Yeah, it's 60,000.
It's 60,000. It was named as such in 2022 for 41K.
Is your question? What do you need, a description of that
Yeah,
swale project?
a description of the
Okay.
swell project, where we on it, and that would be nice.
Will the swale project be in a westerly direction from the Streets Run project that was completed 4 years ago or so?
Mm-hmm.
This is in the area just east of Harder Circle, I believe, where we were proposing to install earthen berms to create the swale and modify existing inlets.
So this isn't on the side of the street, it's Flamingo, which the grow, yes,
It's
so
between
that's
the
on the
railroad- It's
opposite.
between the railroad and Streets Run.
Okay, and does that include our commitment, or that's outside our commitment that we would be looking forward to possibly kicking this 60K to 2025 then?
Yes.
Okay, all right, sure. And I do believe that we did the Doverdale tank cleaning, did we not?
No, I
we
reported at
did
the
not?
last meeting that after the internal inspection,
Mhm.
the clean is not required. It is in great shape with very minimal amount of debris.
Okay, well, that's good that that is not required and that it is in a good shape, and I assume that there will be some pay applications just for the overall inspection of it, but at a fraction of the cost.
I inspected it myself.
Oh, okay, all right, absolutely, fantastic. So, that pretty much much explains why it seems like we do have a good deal of funds that were not used in the engineering planned projects of that 300K pot of money that we have for monies. But we did use over 90% of the money, most of it on the Wyman emergency for the emergency stormwater projects. And I do believe that that's complete, but I do remember, because I reread the minutes from that recently, that you did suggest come budget time to do a more thorough inspection of the Wyman stormwater. That was approximately in July 17th.
On the Wayman,
Yeah.
we, the borough repaired the collapsed section of pipe in the parking lot. The condition of the 102-inch pipe that essentially carries Wayman Run is in poor condition, as well as the two sewers, one from the bowling alley to where the collapse occurred is in poor shape, as well as a 60-inch sewer that parallels Wayman. So we have prepared an estimate, cost estimate to make those corrections, and it will be in our budgets for your consideration.
Yes, because I definitely wanted to make sure that I had my eye on that, as well as the streets run swale, especially since that's been waiting for 3 years now at least. But if 2025 isn't the time to do it, I don't know what is with the other exciting work that is happening in the storm sewer land in around that way. All right, fantastic. So that brings us to the question of exactly how we are going to fund these things that we committed to do in years past, the Wayman interests, plus, of course, what to do about West Club to Curry Road. So we do have some budgetary numbers to think of, but I would like to also have some insights regarding what is possible regarding transfer of the fund balances, because I do not want to increase storm sewer fees. So I would like to see if there's any way perhaps I could just send you an email with Ms. Wertz concerning any and all of my questions about the storm sewer fund for your and the finance director's consideration.
Yes.
All right,
That's great.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iker.
That's all.
Public safety, Mr. Beat.
Thank you, Madam President. On October the 8th, the police department successfully passed its criminal history record information audit performed by the Office of the Pennsylvania Attorney General. Kudos to you, Chief. In accordance with the Criminal History Record Act, the department will be sending retired computer equipment to an electronic recycler for certified destruction of hard drives and any other storage devices that contain criminal history record information. Can you just real quick summarize what that's about?
When computers become obsolete and they're no longer in service, we just can't throw them away, because it contains personal protective information and it contains criminal justice information. So I have to take them to an electronic recycler that specializes in actually shredding the hard drive and any other storage components with them, and then we get a certified destruction letter from the company for each hard drive with the serial number. In case it ever comes into question, we can present it to the federal government.
That's a good idea.
I can't take credit for that, that's the law.
The law's good then. Okay. That's all I got, unless anybody got any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Beat?
Bring them on.
Okay, we'll move on to administrative Services, Mrs. Depew.
I'm gonna turn it over to Lacey for the moment.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. So, the committee met for administrative services on Tuesday, October 8th. Items discussed were the council chambers, room layout, also the check fraud program that we talked about tonight with Ms. Wertz. And we also had a discussion on the signboards that were brought up earlier today. The history of the signboards for Election Day, why they're there, when they started, and what to do about them. Great discussion was had. There's still too many questions at this point to answer. I will say the idea that they were indicated for simply one or another party, it just sort of happened naturally over the years. Things have kind of grown into that area. But all of the concerns that Mr. Schmatzer and others have mentioned over the years in a variety of ways have all been taken into consideration. And we're gonna keep looking at this and coming back to council with more as time goes.
Yeah, and to be clear, the boards are not designated for
They
any
are
specific
not.
party, they are for anyone to utilize.
Correct. Anybody can utilize them and you can put your sign at different
What
places.
is the reason? Out of 130 communities in Allegheny County, Whitehall is the only one who participates in politics.
Marty, I can give you a little bit of history.
Well, Jimmy,
No,
explain to
wait,
me why you do it.
Wait. There were a lot of signs that were proliferating all over. You can't stick signs up at St. Gabriel's, that's a polling place. You can't really stick signs up at Baldwin High School. And so, in order to have an orderly system, we put boards up. Now, you can add more boards, if you think two's not enough. We could have 4
responsibility of the
boards.
borough, Jim.
It's just a place to put signs.
It's not the responsibility of
It
Whitehall
doesn't
Borough
matter,
to participate
it is the
in
matter,
politics.
no, it's not participating in politics.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It
It's-
absolutely is.
It's facilitating order.
One person at a time.
You're not in charge of the order. The constable's in charge of the order on election day, not you and not council.
Okay, well,
The borough's position has long been is that it was, that there were, if you didn't do that, there were signs put up, it became a big burden for public works to pick it up after the fact or during the time. So the board was created, and put up there by public works, so people would put signs on there, right? I've seen the boards, I've seen the pictures of it, there's multiple parties on the board, and it's not designated for one or the other, it is simply a, content neutral board to prevent litter from going on, that's what it is, that's the discussion that.
The boards are 1/8 inch, they fall over all the time, and out of 130 municipalities,
Okay.
Whitehall knows
Well, we're
best and not the other
special. So
120.
we're gonna move on because this is, in discussion and
That's all I have,
administration.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
I wanna ask
So
about
we're
this.
gonna move on to planning and zoning,
You
Mr.
told me this is a
Lucetti.
done deal, you're not
We're gonna move on
read
to
it out.
Mr. Lucetti.
Yes, the planning commission met last Wednesday, October
That's
9th.
not fair to me.
The commission continued its work on prospective zoning ordinance amendment regarding uses in commercial zoning districts. The commission reviewed draft conditional use criteria for motor service stations, discussed the revised definition and conditional use criteria for tobacco store smoke shops, and received draft definitions and conditional use criteria related to medical marijuana dispensaries. Work will continue at the November 13th meeting, and the commission also discussed a draft work plan for next year. Last night, the zoning hearing board granted a variance to Cassie Village Inc. to allow an enclosed freezer cooler addition at Genevieve Restaurant to encroach into a required yard on a corner lot. And finally, the planning and zoning committee met last week to discuss and review a draft sidewalk installation policy.
Okay, thank you. Parks, Mrs. Depew.
Okay, as quite a few of you know, we were opened over the park last Friday. It was a beautiful day. There were, 50 children there, 30 anyway. They had a wonderful time. I know there's been a lot of things on Facebook, why wasn't this done, why wasn't that done? Money. So the bids came in twice as high as we expected them to. We would love to have done it all. We would love to have had a pavilion, benches, everything done at one time, but just like we don't at home, we can't do everything at the same time. So I'm very pleased with we had actually, the playground equipment had been purchased through a grant, and know, it's like buying it on sale, it's 50% off, I think. The beautiful playground equipment, and the surfaces turned out very nice. The stairs are done, the railings usable. I think people that were up there and saw it that day were very happy. We got rid of some problem areas. And we won't forget about it, but we will, look at some new things.
Thank you.
Bravo.
The kids had a lot of fun on Friday. The kids really had a lot of fun that came. My favorite is the mommy and me swings. So if you have little ones, check those out.
It must be really nice to get excited about getting rid of a problem area. It's 20 years now, we've got a problem area. This is a shame.
We got one new business. Is it, you, Tristan?
Yes, on the agenda is a motion to support the Baldwin Whitehall Educational Foundation sign initiative. I mentioned this at the last meeting. There's no updates but from what I understand, Baldwin Borough and Baldwin Township have both agreed to contribute towards this, so kind of waiting on Whitehall. So I want consideration for the following motion to support the Baldwin Whitehall Education Foundation sign initiative in the amount of $300.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, is there any other new business? I just, if doing new business, I just remind, we already talked about Halloween, and, oh, there's a flyer I put out there from the Whitehall Community Lions Club. We just received, there's a walk that's, starting at Train Park, 2 o'clock this Saturday. Everyone's invited to show up, and it's just enjoyed, supposed to be nice weather too. And Halloween was mentioned by the mayor, our budget meeting November 2nd, and on Sunday, November 3rd, we, fall back with the clocks, and then we'll see everyone at the next meeting on November 6th. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made and seconded.